The city never sleeps, but some nights feel colder than others, not because of the weather, but because of the silence in people's hearts. That night, under the amber glow of a broken streetlight, a little girl stood near the corner of Rosewood Avenue. Her clothes were worn, mismatched, and barely enough to fight off the chilling wind. Her hair was tied up in a messy ponytail, her hands stuffed into her sleeves for warmth. But what stood out the most wasn't her appearance, it was her eyes. They were deep, haunting, and far too wise for someone so young. Cars drove past her like she was part of the sidewalk. People passed without a glance. Occasionally someone would toss her a coin or half-eaten sandwich. But she never asked for anything. She just stood there silently, watching. Across the street, the valet opened the door to a shining black Rolls-Royce. Out stepped a man in an expensive suit, his silver watch glinting under the streetlight. His name was Armin Segal, one of the wealthiest businessmen in the country. Founder of a multi-billion-dollar real estate empire, he was known for buying entire city blocks and turning slums into skyscrapers. Cold, focused, powerful, that's what the headlines said. But inside, Armin Segal was broken. Ever since his wife died 3 years ago, he had become a shadow of himself. Work had replaced family, money replaced love, and though he provided everything for his 8-year-old daughter Avni, something was missing. He gave her toys, dresses, vacations, but not himself. Not his time, not his heart. He hadn't hugged her in months. Not out of cruelty, but out of emptiness. He didn't know how anymore. That night, he was taking Avni to a fancy dinner. She walked beside him in a shiny pink coat, holding his hand reluctantly, her small face glued to her tablet. But then, Avni stopped. She looked across the street and saw the little girl standing alone, shivering. "Papa, who is she?" Avni asked. Armin followed her gaze. He barely glanced. "Just someone unlucky, beta. Let's go." But Avni didn't move. "She's not asking for anything." Armin turned again and looked properly this time. The girl was looking right at him. Not with desperation, but with something deeper. It made him uncomfortable. "Come, Avni," he said, trying to steer her. But Avni tugged away and crossed the street. "Avni," he shouted, rushing after her. By the time he reached her, Avni was already standing in front of the little girl. "Hi, I'm Avni. What's your name?" The girl looked at her, then at Armin. "I'm Sana," she replied softly. "Why are you standing here?" Avni asked. Sana shrugged. "Nowhere else to go." Armin stepped forward. "Sana, are your parents nearby?" She shook her head. "My mother died last winter. My father, he left when I was 5. Armin felt a strange twist in his chest. He cleared his throat. "Do you need something? Food, money?" That's when it happened. Sana looked straight into his eyes and said, "I don't need money, sir. I just need a hug. Like the one you gave your daughter." Armin froze. He looked at Avni, who stared back at him quietly. And he realized, he hadn't hugged her tonight. Or yesterday. Or the day before. The last time he had hugged Avni was on her birthday. And even that had been brief, awkward. He turned back to Sana. Her eyes weren't begging. They were just tired. He knelt slowly, extending his arms. "Come here," he whispered. Sana took a step forward, and then another, and then she was in his arms, clutching his coat with trembling hands. She didn't cry, she just held on, like she'd been waiting for this moment her whole life. Avni watched them, something stirring in her heart. Then, slowly, she walked over and wrapped her arms around both of them. 3 souls, strangers just seconds ago, connected in a way that defied logic and time. Armin's heart broke open that night. Years of numbness, grief, and guilt melted in the warmth of 2 little arms. After a long silence, he looked into Sana's face. "Where are you staying?" Sana hesitated. "There's a broken bus stop down the road. I sleep there." Armin stood up, still holding her hand. "Not anymore. That night, Armin took Sana home. The media would call it impulsive. His staff would call it dangerous. But his heart called it right. He had the guest room cleaned. Got her fresh clothes. Let her choose her own bedsheets. Avni helped her pick out stuffed animals and taught her how to use the television remote. They laughed. They played. And Armin watched, stunned, as life returned to his silent mansion. Days turned into weeks. Armin contacted social workers to locate any surviving family of Sana, but none could be found. No school records, no history. She was a ghost in the system. So he decided to give her something she had never had, a real family. He began paperwork for adoption. Sana started school with Avni. They became sisters, inseparable. Avni taught her to read bedtime stories, Sana taught her how to climb trees and laugh louder. And every morning before going to school, they hugged Arman goodbye. He always hugged back. Arman started changing too. He reduced his working hours. He began coming home early. Weekends were for family. He stopped attending every elite event and instead attended school plays, sports days, and birthday parties. People in his circle didn't understand. "You're losing your edge," one board member said. "No," Arman replied, "I'm finding my heart." Years passed. Sana grew into a bright young woman. Strong, compassionate, fiercely independent. One evening, on her 18th birthday, she stood in front of family and friends and gave a small speech. She said, "Most people think love comes wrapped in gold and glitter. But I found mine on a sidewalk, from a man who didn't know he needed to be saved as much as I did. I asked for one hug, not knowing it would give me a home, a sister, and a father. That night, I thought I was the one receiving. But the truth is, we saved each other." Arman sat in the front row, tears glistening in his eyes, holding Avni's hand. The man who once built towers from glass and steel had now built something stronger, a family from kindness, healing, and one little girl's quiet plea.